Hello everybody, here I am on Rustlings Road outside Endcliffe Park there. I'm here to give my opinions on the trees on Rustlings Road and whether I think they should stay or go. And so I'm going to walk along the road and just try and look at each tree individually to try and make a judgment on whether each tree should stay or not. So most of the trees are lime trees, and they're probably about 100 years old, maybe a little bit older. The first one we come to is absolutely magnificent. Is gorgeous, and it's just started to rain yet again. But the state of the footpath is there is a lot of heavage on this one. After saying that, there's not much that comes out into the road. These curbstones are a little bit misplaced, but it's such a big tree, and it's so well established. This tree is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and wider and wider and wider. And obviously it's going to encroach even more towards the road. I'm not sure about this one. This one looks quite bad to me. I don't know what engineering solutions there could be to this. And again, I'm thinking 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the line. So I'm not just thinking about right now. I don't know. It really is a magnificent tree, and I'm loath to take it out. But we'll carry on to the next one. Fruiting very nicely. This looks a little bit better. Yes, the ground's raised. The curb doesn't really come out at all. It's not. It's not insurmountable, that tree. That's got another 50 years of life in it easily, I reckon. That and this one as well can definitely stay. There's no disease in it. There's no dieback. I suppose it helps that there is a bit of a grass verge here. The pavement certainly needs resurfacing, but once it's done, we should be okay. Now this is a beach. This is a copper beach with some plimsolls hanging from it there. It's lovely. Now beaches do get to be big and do get to be quite problematic, but this is probably quite a young one. It's not all that old, and again there's not a lot of shift of the curb edge there, and the pavement hardly rises at all on this one, so that's fine. The only problem I have, if from an aesthetic perspective you're going for the same trees along the street, in this case lime trees, then to have one or two, and there's a sycamore, that kind of break that line, just from an aesthetic perspective, is it's not good. But as a tree, as an individual tree, it's a lovely specimen, and based solely on whether the tree's diseased or dying, or whether there's any there's a lot of damage to the pavement or the road, the answer is no. So on that basis, that tree really should stay. So we come to the sycamore, and again minimal movement on the pavement. My car there. Yeah, bit of suckering from the bottom. Don't gamble with our trees. I think they needed a joker there. I don't know how to jack, because that's what many people think that Amy and Sheffield City Council are, a set of jokers. That's not for me to comment. Another lime. Again, this is fine. It's not a problem here. There's a little bit of a rise in the pavement. But yeah, it's not a problem. It's leaning a little bit. That's something. I mean, I'm a bit of a tree geek, and as far as street trees go, I do like my street trees to be straight. I can't stand them. I'm a bit OCD regarding that. I can't stand street trees if they are leaning, if they're not pretty much perfectly straight. So we're just going to quickly walk on. Rain seems to have stopped a little bit. Some nice London plains there. And again, this may be an option in the respect that if those trees, and again most of them should be okay and shouldn't have to come down, but if those trees do have to come down, then it may be better to plant actually in the park. And London plains are very much big park trees, and there's 3 here, and a nice line of those along the edge of the park would be, I think, more sustainable. There's a third one there. Maybe an option. So, come along. My fundamental, my core principle when looking at trees and where they should go and what kind of trees you plant is very, very simple. It's always the right tree in the right place. and it's never ever the wrong tree in the wrong place. And what I mean by that is, when we're talking about street trees, we're talking about planting trees that the local people want and can live with on a daily basis. And that's the priority for street trees. And that is what we're talking about here. We're talking about street trees. The ecological benefit is secondary. So I don't agree with people saying that we want to create an urban woodland or a suburban woodland with forest trees, with natives. The people who live in those streets may not be able to deal with natives. It may very well be that the best tree for a particular street may not be a native tree, it may be an exotic. But I'm digressing a little bit there. But here we are, so we've got another lime tree. There's a little bit of dieback there, but nothing substantial. That will need a bit of maintenance. Don't know if you can see it on my iPhone, but again, there's a little bit of rising in the pavement there. The curbstones look fine. Oops, nearly fell then. This is it's a very tall one. There is again a little bit of dead up there in that one. But again, if we look at this, it's fine. There's curbs just come out a little bit there. But again, it's not a major issue. The road's already been resurfaced. And again, the pavement doesn't rise at all there. So, I want to cross over, and I think some of these may be a little bit more problematic. So we have another, quite a small one, this one, suckering a lot. And I think this may be me being a cynic and a skeptic. This may be the main reason why they're wanting to take out these limes, because lime trees are maintenance heavy. They do sucker quite a lot, and that suckering needs to be taken out on a yearly basis. But again, the pavement's fine. It's not buttressing out into the road. It's not pushing the curbstones out. That's fine. Just needs some maintenance. Another quite small one here. Again, there's a little bit of rise of the pavement. Curbstones here, which are wider. They've got wider curbstones. Well, they can put narrower curbstones here if need be. So again, that's not a problem. One here that's fine. It's leaning a little bit, which I so despise. And because it's leaning, it's making that into quite a dark. It's quite a dark area there. For those properties, there's some aces in there, so maybe the person there actually likes the fact that they're in shade, a lot of shade. Got hostas there, but as a tree, it's looking very healthy. Again, there's no movement. Personally, if I lived there, I would want this tree removing. It would be too dark for me, but if it's just down to the damage it's causing, then there is no problem there. But yeah, that's leaning, and I would have that out personally. But on the basis of ground movement and whether the tree is healthy or not, that has to stay if the public want it to stay. Another quite small one here. again, that's fine. Suckering again. Puts the curbstone out a little bit there. But that's got another 30, 40 years in it, I think. Big one here. There's one over the road there. I'm not going to go over and look at that, but we've got a big one here. Hiya. I'm just looking at them all. I'm just recording. I'm going to put this on YouTube about what my opinions are on whether the tree should stay or go.
Yeah. Are you a professional or?
No, I haven't. I'm a bit of a tree geek, so I do like trees. But
what's your impression so far?
So far, most of them aren't a problem. No. Really not.
No.
But there are some that definitely are, and I think there's one or two that do need removing. It's for me. I've just been talking on the video. I'll keep talking.
Yeah.
For me, it's always about the right tree in the right place,
yeah.
but never the wrong tree in the wrong place. And so, what I mean by that is that if you have I think we're going to come up to some that's very, very close to the road, and that in 10, well, even now, there's no way that there's kind of two on the corner just up there.
I know there's a leaning one that we. Oh, the one.
Well, there's one near the park that's leaning.
Yeah.
But there's a junction. I don't know what road it is.
Yeah. Rugby.
Yeah, and there's two on the road, and the one on the left side of the junction is so huge.
Yeah.
I don't see what they can do with it. They can't really take the pavement out anymore.
The architect who's part of the campaign, who lives on this road, has come up with actually a very nice solution, because that used to be the entrance to the old Greystones Hall.
Oh, right.
So he's saying that by reconfiguring the actual curbways, it can be accommodated. But
the thing is, that's going to, because I've walked past it, and it's going to take away parking. It's going to slowly encroach out into the road, and of course, you have to think. You can't think just now. You have to think 10, 15, 20, 30 years in the future, and it's going to expand both ways. And already the pavement is very well risen, and I just think that if those two trees at that junction were removed, I mean, lime trees anyway, they grow very, very quickly. We've got some on Rivelin Valley Road near where, because I live in Hillsborough, I don't live on here.
Right.
But do you know Rivelin Valley Road?
Yeah.
It's 3 mile long of lime trees, and they've actually planted about 3 or 4 years ago several young trees about the same size as those that liquid amber, and I think I don't know if it's a silver birch or whatever in the park there. They've planted trees that big, and they've grown so quickly in the last 3 or 4 years. And lime trees themselves do grow very, very quick. And as long as
how long do they take to become a medium canopy?
Well, for a decent canopy, you're probably talking 20, 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, I think the trouble is the air quality now, is so bad in the city. We are one of the 10 hotspots.
And I agree, because I did go to the meeting at the town hall.
Thursday, or the debate? We had just had a tree forum on
yes, it was
Thursday.
Was it Thursday that one?
Yeah.
Yes, it was Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes, I went to that.
Oh, right, okay.
If the council come, instead of planting one tree for one that they take out, if they can plant several, then that's going to be better. But this is a problem, because there's a conflict of interest here. There is clearly going to be a loss for the environment if you do take trees out, and then any new trees you plant are going to take time to replace that.
Yeah.
But on an everyday kind of basis, you have problems such as the maintenance of the street, and problems with, pavements and damage caused or whatever, with branches dropping off, etc., etc. So you've got kind of conflicting interests.
Well, that is at the bottom of it.
Yeah,
and I think in some cases, in a way, there's no conflict because the pavement is so bad. I think our strong feeling here is that the pavement, there are solutions, and again, Alan Robshaw does have a whole set of, because he's worked around the city.
Yeah.
Architect landscaping around trees.
Yeah.
So he's got solutions, pavement solutions.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at this one at the moment, I mean, it's got a curb edge missing, right? So what is the engineering solution to that?
Well, I don't know the detail of all his plans.
Because all I can see is that you
can put a
yeah.
narrower one. I know that's
Yeah, you can put a narrow curb. I've seen one or two of those.
That's what he's
but the problem is if you increase the pit for that to extend for another 20, 30, 40 years, somebody's parking space is going to disappear.
Yeah, well, I think we need to think about how many cars.
Yeah, well,
I know we've just got rid of
yeah,
the car.
and so do you see what I mean? There are obviously conflicts.
I can see
and
it's not just a malicious I hate trees.
Yeah, precisely, because I am such a tree geek. But this brings me back to what I said before: always the right tree in the right place, and never the wrong tree in the wrong place. I go through Nether Edge, and you see quite much narrower streets than this with big lime trees and they're so dark. Yeah, it's so dark and depressing. And I'm thinking, now if those were taken out and you replace them with silver birch, which are trees that do soak up a lot of pollutants, and they're much lighter canopy, and it's much better tree for that particular environment. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not a case of I can go on forever about this.
Running away from the conversation.
No.
I've got my grandson and we're off camping.
Oh right, enjoy your day.
No, but it's good to meet you. But you obviously know a lot about.
Yeah,
It's not a professional.
No, I'm not a professional, but I'm just very into trees and gardening and the environment generally, but the environment as a whole, not just ecologically. An environment from a point of view of people have to live in particular streets, in a particular environment.
Right.
And if you plant the wrong tree in the wrong place, people then get very irate and very anti-tree. If you're planting big sycamores with leaves that people can slip on, near to where a lot of old people live, that's not good for...
No, I agree. Everything has to be.
Do you see what I mean?
Balance.
Yeah. So sometimes I think people get lost in that because they only see their own little.
I think.
Do you know what I mean?
They're very aware of the ecosystem services that they provide.
Yeah.
That it isn't just about the.
Yeah. Exactly. So anyhow, nice to have a natter with you.
Yeah. And I look forward to your YouTube.
Yeah, I'll be putting it on. Do we have pictures of Sheffield Old and New on Facebook? I'll probably be putting it on that.
Right.
Or if you just type into YouTube Rustling Road trees in a day or two's time, it'll come up.
There.
Yeah, so you'll hear my dulcet tones. It's Andrew Stringer.
Andrew Stringer, right?
Stringer, S-T-R. Yeah.
Right. Well, good to meet you.
All right, nice to see you. See you later. So, just get back now. This one. Right, so that's interesting. So this is one that they are wanting to chop down, definitely, and deemed to be a healthy tree and should not be felled mature trees. They intend to chop down this tree due to curb displacement. Oh, this is from the people against chopping them down. Right, okay. Yeah, it's cutting down mature trees, the residents of Rustlings Road and other Sheffielders demand that sensitive green solutions be adopted and implemented to represent a sustainable solution to the perceived problems such as localised pavement, restructuring to respond to historic more effectively narrow curve stones, reinstate large tree pits works to accommodate Full growth to all trees on the street. Yeah, well, but even when you take all that into account, there is still a limit to what you can do. Now, of course, if the people on this street are prepared to say, well, actually, we don't, we're prepared to lose a parking space here, and increase the size of this pit to come right out and take up some of this parking space, then that's an option. That's a possible option. But when you have rows of villas like this with no off-street parking problem, with no off-street parking rather, then on-street parking is the only option. So we come up to another one that I'm not even going to talk about. There's nothing wrong with that. They've put in a half curbstone there. I think that's fine. I think we're coming up to the 2 trees that I was talking about. Big, healthy trees, lovely. Again, lots of suckering from the lime. This one's not too bad. It's quite a way away from the edge, so ideally that would probably stay. But this one, this is a nightmare. That's so close to the road. I mean, I really don't see any kind of long-term solution to that. For a start, the tree's leaning quite bad if I stand back. It's a very big tree, huge tree. The pavement's very raised. It's again, if people want to increase the size of the pavement here, it's only a little street, Rugby Road. It seems to, not sure where it goes. I think it just goes into Bingham Park. So there's not a lot of traffic going up and down there. So if the local community say just extend the pavement, then that may be an option. But there's a lot of ground movement there, and the fact that the tree is leaning, and that works on around the tree may actually weaken it. I would personally. I mean, it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. I'm just going to go back up the lane here. Personally, the other tree is leaning a little bit as well. Again, people probably aren't going to like this, but I personally would take those 2 trees out, plant 2 more limes, again, if the people want it, and of similar size, because one tree is quite substantially bigger than the other. So that you have this you have something that's not going to cause a problem for another 100 years. Because I think if you take one out, if you take the one on the left out and just plant a new one, it's going to look, from an aesthetic perspective, it's going to look goddamn awful. As you're coming down this lane from Bingham Park. But they are fantastic trees, and I'm struggling to let go of the fact that they are such big, beautiful trees, but that really they need to go. So again, maybe people are willing to lose that parking space. Maybe, as we can see there, the pavement has extended for the bus stop, which gives the tree more room to grow into, a bit more space. But there is a car parking space. So maybe if the local population, local people are prepared to forgo that car parking space, then that may be an option for that. If that's the case, then keep them. But I think that's leaning, and it's leaning, it's clearly, if it does blow down, it's going to go right across the road. Just have a look into the park there. That's a beautiful horse chestnut. Come to a smaller lime here. This is not a problem. This should stay. That's fine. A little bit of a raise there, but that's not a problem. How long's this video? It's 32 minutes. Probably getting boring now. Probably boring after the first 5 minutes. But still, we'll walk to the end. Because I want to finish off again, a little bit of raise of the pavement, a little bit of movement here out from the curbstones. Yeah, a little bit of remedial work there, and that's fine. That's not a problem. A couple more on the other side of the street. Again, a little bit of movement of the curbstones over there, but again, they're fine. I'm just wondering how many people do know or understand how quickly lime trees can grow, as long as they're planted properly and they're maintained well first year or two after planting. They do grow very, very quick. The curb's still missing there, but again, just put half a curb in. That's fine. The pavement's not raised at all there. That's okay. We're coming towards the end now. Last few trees. again, this is fine. Again, you see a slight crack there, but it's nothing major. On the side of the road. Again, this one's fine. It's beautiful and straight. That you don't know how. This is going to sound really geeky and really nerdy, but that straight trunk there, just. I mean, I'm nearly having an orgasm. Not quite. Beautiful tree. However, that one. Sorry, you're coming out. I mean, here to the left we've got an oak tree. Right, that oak tree is in Bingham Park. Actually, we've got some ash seedlings as well. No, they're not ash seedlings, sorry. I think that might be, I'm not sure about that. That might be an ash seedling there. So we've got an oak and potentially an ash. And the oak is quite big and it's going to get bigger. That oak's in Bingham Park, but you can see it's only going to spread, and it's more dominant than the lime. It's better for wildlife than the lime, and it's just going to end up pushing that lime further over. And that needs to come out. That has to come out. I don't want anybody really crying, oh, it's our trees, oh, emotional. No, sorry. Yes, trees are wonderful and fantastic, but I go back to what I said at the beginning of the video. Always the right tree in the right place, and never, ever the wrong tree in the wrong place. So it's a big tree, it's healthy, but that has to go. And I would like to think that most residents on here realise that. I wouldn't want to park my car under there, or even walk under there, on a windy day when it's in full leaf. There's the oak. And then finally, this one, which is it's got a little bit of dieback in the crown, and again we have quite a lot of damage at the base. I mean, it's not ring barked, it's not gone the whole way around, and again the pavement around it looks fine, but it may be the best thing for that tree to come out to do that work now. I like the old Triumph Herald there. That's an old car. Wooden dashboard as well. Sorry, talking about trees here. Yeah, I would take that out as well. And that's it, really. It's there are I would probably take out maybe five trees on this road. They certainly don't all want to come out. And those that do come out, again, if the people who live on the street want it, then they should replace light with light. So lime trees have to go back in if that's what the people want. Now, if the people maybe want different trees, then that's fine. But I do think, and this is talking purely aesthetics, I think when you have a street, maybe I can just cross over the road here, just to finish the video off. When you have a street of beautiful Victorian villas, that are, you know, that are all just wonderful architectural semi-detached and detached, so they're all very similar, but they're all a little bit different. I think if you have this line of similar facades along the street, if you have a mishmash of different trees, different sizes, etc., that cannot be aesthetically, it's not the best for that particular street. I think with a street like Rustlings Road, some work going on there, looking good. You have this similar frontage. You have these similar brickwork, similar windows, slight variation on the design in the colours and some of the stonework, etc. But to keep that flow, if you have the same trees, then it just looks more aesthetically pleasing than actually planting a mishmash of different trees. Now, if you are on a street with lots of different styles of buildings, of architecture, of housing, then I think planting different trees can work. And also from an environmental perspective, if you plant different trees rather than the same kind of trees along an avenue, you know, if you get something like Dutch elm disease, the whole street goes. But if you have different trees on a street and one tree gets a disease, it's not necessarily the case that the other trees are going to die as well. So there are pluses and minuses to having a variety of trees on a street as opposed to having the same species of tree on a particular street. But I think in this case, as you do have a wonderful set of lime trees that the people around here seem to want, then if you do have to take any trees out, you should replace them in kind. And so I think I'll leave it there. Bye for now.